Ghost Squad TV. All right, so Andrade was granted his release finally after Big Ben and the WWE changed their mind. We all know Wink Wink, who has something to do with that. His fiance Charlotte, aka Ashley Flair, had a lot to do with her stroke in the back. Had a lot to do probably with the change of heart, letting him go. Apparently, though, she's catching heat now, and she might not be on Mania, on the Mania card. That said, though, we'll see if that's really true or not. Today, I'm here to discuss Jim Ross, good old JR. And if you heard my video yesterday on my Food for Thought, I had a video called Retail. And I kind of discussed how it's important for us to have our own ambitions, to not want to just be happy with just having a job. It's not just enough to have a job. See, the world has gotten so bad that we are being told to accept bottom of the barrel jobs that mistreat us and disrespect us as human beings, especially as minorities. So the reason why I equate this to what Jim Ross is saying, Andrade, 31 years old, incredible in-ring performer, bet on himself and said, screw this fucking company. I don't care how big this company is. I don't care what the time is, pandemic or not. I'm going to bet on myself. I've already made 5 to 6 figures anyway. I don't need this. I'm going to do what makes me happy. And old school, old guard, blabbermouth Jim Ross. And believe me, I love Jim as a commentator. As a human, I listened to his interviews and I had to turn the damn laptop off or TV off. Because as a commentator, he's the greatest voice of all time. As a human, he is completely out of touch. To sit there and compare Andrade's situation just to the normal, regular person situation, it's ridiculous because Andrade's not broke. It's not anywhere near broke. And he's so up, as he eloquently pointed out, since he wants to act like Andrade doesn't have talent, that the only reason people even know who Andrade is because of his fiance. That is offensive and below the belt and sounds like an old man who does not want to get with the times, does not want to understand the talent level that Andrade brings to the table and the guts it takes to bet on yourself. You see, if I'm Tony Khan, I'm not listening to Jim Ross. As a matter of fact, I'm looking to get Jim Ross his walking papers. Because Jim Ross isn't what he used to be anymore. And not only that, for a guy that's signed to a company that's progressive, he seems to talk a lot of this non-progressive shit. He is from the Midwest. He is from Oklahoma. Not knocking people from Oklahoma. But he talks a whole lot of non-progressive shit. Every time I hear him talk, he's always saying some non-progressive shit to put somebody down. And in this case, it was Andrade, who happens to be Latino. Mexican descent, but Latino. Hispanic. Latino. He felt it was cool to utter his mouth and count this man's paper. To count this man's pockets. And to sit there and say that you shouldn't be moving from a company you don't really have any legs to stand on. If it wasn't for you, I mean, it wasn't for your wife or your fiance, nobody would care about you. That's strong words coming from a non-progressive Oklahoman who still thinks it's 1998, who still, in a lot of ways, feels that as great as his commentary is, that he has to have these weird, dumbass opinions that he has in 2021. The dude damn near sucks WWE's dick every time he's on AEW. If you love the WWE so much, JR, go back to damn Vince McMahon raping you on national television, making you kiss his ass cheeks. Since you want to act as if WWE's never gonna get beat. Because I remember that interview with Chris Van Vliet. And you were talking about how WWE's never gonna get beat. And maybe you're right, they'll never get beat on the attraction, just being the longer and older brand. But you're lucky Tony Khan's a progressive and doesn't really care about your opinion when it comes to that shit, because if that would have been me running that company, you would have been fired and you would have never seen another day of light of any type of work ever again. I respect JR as a commentator for what he's done, but is it me or is it time to put him out the pasture? Tony Schiavone's rocking circles around him right now on AEW, in my opinion. As a matter of fact, when I think TNT, I think Tony Schiavone. I don't think Jim Ross. Jim Ross, yeah, he was on TBS with Tony Schiavone back in the NWA days and early WCW days. But nobody remembers JR. And mind you, JR's best work was on those old NWA shows. But nobody remembers JR from those old NWA shows. They remember JR from his WWE work. Especially most kids, and if you're like from the ages 35 down to maybe 18, you remember Jim Ross calling Hell in a Cell matches. You remember Jim Ross screaming, "Good God Almighty, good God Almighty," when somebody got body slammed on some thumbtacks or something. Jim, in defense of Andrade, even though he doesn't need my defense, you need to take a back seat and learn to shut your ass up when you don't need to have an opinion about another man's pockets. Don't worry about what another man gonna do. Hold your own dick when you piss, Jim. It's that simple. I get it. You're a legend in his field. I'm nobody. I can tell you this shit. I'll probably get a whole bunch of people hating on what I said. But there's a bigger picture. Andrade shouldn't be disrespected for betting on himself. And I'm tired of people like you and the old guard thinking it's fucked up and we should stay in our place whenever somebody wants to do something bigger than what they're capable of doing. Reality check, man. You don't get to tell people how to live. You don't get to tell people what they should and shouldn't do. Don't act like you're the Wizard of Oz. Like you don't just sit there and just make all these assumptions about him. Let that man be who he is. He's 31 years old. He's a legend in Mexico. Let him do whether he goes to Mexico, he goes to AEW, or he goes to Impact, New Japan, wherever he wants to go. Let that man shine and let him bet on himself. I guarantee you he'll make WWE look real stupid. Because sitting at home for a paycheck is, when you're an active worker and somebody that cares about your work, ain't fun. Especially when you're a creator. So, think twice before you say what you said, JR. Because the old guard needs to move on, in my opinion. It's these people who want to tell you can't, need to go. They need to go. Gold Squad TV. Leave your comments down below. Whether you agree with me or not, it's not important. But in my opinion, we need more people like Andrade. We're going to sit there and say, you know what, I'm going to bet on myself. Gold Squad TV.